Good afternoon.
Hey, Jimmy. Hey, Teresa. Hey, Ken.
Hi there.
We'll give it another minute or so for, oh, there's Paul. There.
Teresa, you're on mute.
Is Peter joining us?
Peter Miller,
Oh, there he is. Yep, he's there.
down here. He's connecting.
All right, I've got 7:01. I'm going to open the July 7th meeting of the Wakefield Conservation Commission. We'll take a roll call. Ken,
Here.
Jimmy,
Here.
Paul,
Yes.
Peter,
Here.
Savannah,
Present.
Teresa.
Here.
First up is DEP 313120, 2 Engine Lane, Certificate of
Oh,
Compliance.
wait. Whoa. We're not doing that tonight.
We're not?
No.
It's on the agenda.
I know it's on the agenda, but we're gonna hold off on that for a little bit. We're supposed to be doing the Quantipout orders of conditions.
Yeah, that's the second item.
Well, that should be the first, because that's what this whole thing is about.
Is there anybody here for Angem Lane?
Yes.
Elaine, we're gonna wait on this. I've got more to talk about this.
So, Jim,
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Is it going to be on later tonight or is it going to be on at a different meeting?
No, it's gonna be on at the next meeting.
Okay,
The 14th. The 14th.
okay. So,
And I do want to talk to you later on.
okay, so I'm going to sign out now. I talked with Rebecca earlier about the conditions, so there isn't much more I have to contribute, and you can call me later if you want to. I'll have my cell phone with me.
Okay.
All right,
Yep.
good night, everybody.
All right.
Hi, Wayne.
Libby, you're here for Angem Lane?
Yes, I am.
Is there anybody else here for Angem Lane?
I believe the former owner, Steve McDermott, is.
Yeah, we have to hold off on this, Libby.
That's fine. That'll give me time to put the plan together better. I only had a draft for you guys to review anyway.
Okay.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, so the
Okay.
next meeting is next Thursday.
14th, right?
Yeah. We'll all get together and figure this thing out.
Right. So let's go right to the 200 Quantipout Parkway.
Thank you,
Good night,
Libby.
all.
Good night.
What?
I said thank you, Libby, and good night.
Oh,
All right, so next up, actually, Jim, it's too early
it's too early for what?
for Quantipout. 7:15.
Well,
You have some other business to attend to.
Well, approve the minutes, no?
That's
that'll take,
2 minutes.
yeah.
Better than nothing.
we have vote to change Conservation Commission monthly meetings to first and third Tuesday. And we also have a discussion, new policy regarding information submittal deadline. So we could cover both of those items before 7:15. Rebecca, you have any preference?
Do I have a
Are you sure we have to wait? This is a continued hearing. It's not, it's, I don't know. I don't know what the rules are.
I mean, I would recommend,
7:15, you're saying?
yeah.
What
We're
time
just
is it?
following the agenda that was published, Jim.
Yeah, I know. Well, just sit here and stare at each other.
No, we're going to discuss.
We get two other items.
Huh?
We get two other items.
Okay, well, move on.
All right, so the first item then is a vote to change the monthly meetings to the first and third Tuesday of the month. Would somebody like to make a motion?
And if that's effective September 1,
Yes,
I make a motion to move our meeting to the first and third Tuesday of the month, effective as of September 1.
is there a second?
Sure.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Ken,
Yes.
I could probably raise my hand.
Paul,
Yes.
Savannah,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Jimmy,
Yep.
and I also vote yes.
So that's effective September. That's effective in September.
Yeah,
That's what I just said, Peter.
Okay, no, I just want to make sure I knew. I heard right.
minutes will reflect that.
I didn't want to be waiting on the, I didn't want to be waiting in the queue next month on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
All right, the next item is to discuss the new policy regarding information submittal deadlines. Rebecca, you want to kick that off?
Yeah, that's a
Yep.
good one.
Just thinking real quick that if we move the meeting to Tuesday, I think the idea was to require, and I can put this up on the website, that all information that is going to be discussed at the meetings is received by some point in time on Thursday, which will give me time by the end of the day on Thursday to get it all together and get it out to you guys to review for the weekend. I think that, as we discussed before, it might be a better scenario to give you guys time to really dive into stuff. Whereas when you receive things during the week and everyone's working, it just seems that it's a little bit more challenging. So hopefully this will lead to like a little bit more availability, I guess. So that was just my thought. I think I would set it up, and unless it's relatively minor, I would just, and I want to run this by you guys, unless we have it and I ship it out to you guys for review to late Thursday or even early Friday or whatever, that it's not really going to get discussed the following Tuesday, because now we have the meeting on the Tuesday. Like I said, unless it's something that doesn't really need to be perused, if it can just be glanced at and we can handle it, fine. So one is, are you comfortable with that? And two is, are you comfortable with me making that decision of, yeah, this is only, we'll take a couple of minutes, you can present it, or nope, you have to wait till the next meeting.
I think it's a much better scenario than what typically happens now, where we get, notifications and emails, and sometimes we don't even have a chance to see them before, the meeting.
Mhm. Yeah.
I concur.
But I think Rebecca asked whether or not you want to say every piece of paper having to do with it, or if it's
Yeah.
minor things, it can come later.
Why don't we just work that? I think it could work either way, but why don't we
It would
just
make
work it
sense to
out?
give Rebecca the discretion to accept some minor
Yeah,
additions, I think.
basically, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think we should officially say that.
Right. Yeah, unless you find it's not working, then we can, just then make it all of them. But yeah, you're gonna get hopefully just small stuff.
Would you do a specific time cutoff, Rebecca, like noon? So you have time to work on?
Probably
In the
would.
afternoon?
I was thinking maybe 2 p.m. on a Thursday. I usually work a little bit later than that, but for the most part, that would give me, I can check the emails on Fridays, but I don't want to start this slippery slope. And Elaine told me that she used it. She does something very similar in Winchester. And I think her cutoff is 10 a.m. on Thursdays for the following Tuesday. I was going to say I'm there at 2 o'clock or so. So I would say 2 p.m. on Thursdays. Otherwise, anything after that would be at the following meeting, which would be 2 weeks after.
Yeah,
Whatever works for you.
I think that makes sense.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So do we need to vote on that? I guess it wouldn't hurt.
So we'll make a motion.
Yeah.
You waiting for a second?
Are you making a motion?
Second.
Any
The
discussion?
motion was not yet made.
Oh, well, I thought I was waiting for motion. So I'm like jumping to the opportunity. Why not?
I'm waiting for someone to make a motion.
I'll make a motion that all submittals having to do with any agenda items for that Tuesday be submitted to us by 2 p.m. the preceding Thursday. Otherwise, it will be pushed off to the next meeting unless the conservation agent determines otherwise.
All right, at Rebecca's discretion as to what goes where, right?
Right.
Okay.
All right, so
I'll
is there a
second it.
second?
Yes, well said, Teresa. Second.
Yeah, thank you.
Teresa, scusate.
All right,
Good job, Teresa.
Thank you, James.
all right, any discussion? If not, all in favor? Jim,
I'm in favor.
Teresa,
Yes, thank you, Bob.
Ken.
Yes.
Ken, was that a yes?
I said, yeah, I said yes.
I said Ken.
Oh, Ken, okay.
Yeah. Savannah,
Gary's going.
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
I also vote yes. All right, we got 4 minutes.
I don't know. What are we gonna do?
Rebecca, you must have something else for us.
I really don't.
Judy does.
Have you guys mulled over your new assignments?
I'm
Bob,
performing
have
one
you
right
checked the
now.
email?
One step at a time.
We didn't get that email.
What email?
Were you going to send an email dividing, setting for that fourth, Rebecca? Forward that you had sent to Jimmy?
What email? For who? For what?
Oh, when we were talking about the assignments.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think, I think Judy has that email.
It was just
Judy?
the list that Jimmy read.
It was the
Ivana, me and you are gonna be looking at trees.
I love it. I don't care.
Okay.
Judy, do you have anything else or
I have a
What do you
lot of
think
things
with you
about
in
open
case you gotta
space.
climb?
a lot of things? A lot of things we can cover in 3 minutes?
No, not really. Still waiting for people's ideas about the open space plan, what they'd like to see, what things they're interested in covering.
Yeah, some of us did send you replies.
Oh, that was to Jimmy.
Oh,
Judy, I'm going to call you tomorrow, hopefully.
Yes. Yep.
all right.
Judy, I'll send you my response.
Okay.
All right, I thought it was going to you also. I'll have to double check my email. Judy, one of the things that I did suggest was, in the case of Town Forest, there's no real way in except through Maple Way. It's not marked. There is no signage.
Right.
Yeah.
But there is a trail entry.
There is, but nobody knows about it.
Right, exactly. How do you know about it? I didn't know
Right.
about
No,
it.
but that's why I talked a bunch of times about signage, about the
Yeah.
importance of that and having a mapping system.
So I think that was my comment anyways, was
Yeah,
to
okay.
have maps available, like they do a break card, have a sign showing where to enter. There is no exit. You have to come back the same place you went in
Right.
without crossing private property, unfortunately.
Right.
And Judy, is that even mentioned on the town's website, those trails are there?
No, it isn't.
That would be also important to do, to have it be on the website so people
Yeah,
know it.
no, I agree.
Is there an educational component to the town forest?
Sure there is.
Well, there's all different types of resource areas in there,
It's a nature
which
walk.
could be designated with signage. You know, there's bogs, there's streams, there's other types of wetlands in there too.
Judy, that's hopefully part of those, marketing.
Right, right,
Signage, sheets.
right. Tracks of what's in there, pictures of what you may see.
Yeah,
the fact
wildlife
it's
that's
located in
present.
ACEC,
Geology.
things like that.
Well, stuff.
Yeah, actually, even what that glacial depression is, describing that feature.
Right.
All right, I've got 7:15.
Okay.
Rebecca, I think the version I sent you back was the original and not the one I had saved on my desktop, so it's probably missing my comment,
I think that's true.
which is on my actual work PC and not this PC. But I think I remember most of my comments.
That's all right. I was gonna say, do you want to just pull it up the original and we can just go through, or?
Yeah, I can pull up,
Just start with
Let's
page
see.
one and we're gonna go through one at a time.
yeah, I'm not sure if this is even the most recent version. I will open this one up.
Rebecca suggested you go to the original one, not the one that's marked up.
But all the
I'm
comments,
going to the one that she marked up.
I would go to the marked up version.
yeah, it would
I mean,
serve
why
my memory.
why start
Because
with something
she's
that
already
isn't-
cut down some stuff that should be cut down, so
Yeah.
there's no sense in going back over that. Why can't we just start the first
Start
sheet?
with the markup we've
Go
made.
right through the markup and it shouldn't be this hard.
Actually, you know what, Rebecca, could you send us 2 marked up versions? One where you stopped at construction and one you went further?
I think that was Paul's that went further, wasn't it?
Yeah, so Paul marked up mine.
Yep.
I marked up Rebecca's and Paul marked up mine.
Let me find that one.
Can we just,
Paul, you sent that last night, I know.
Yes, I did, and there was very little in my markup. I found a few nits, but all in all,
what if we do
still
this?
learning from you guys, so
Can
not a
we do
lot
this?
to change.
Can we just take the one that she marked up in red? We'll go through them all, and if you've got an item on your markup, we'll discuss it at that point, but so that every item gets looked at. Why can't we do that? Hello?
I would actually suggest we take the markup Teresa did because she made some specific comments about how to proceed in the
Take
document.
which markup, Paul?
The markup Teresa did.
Okay.
Hang on, I'm looking through this one and the one I came across attached looks like the same one. Yeah, I don't see Teresa's comments, my comments on this
No,
one
I
either.
didn't include your comments. Because I already started working on Rebecca's before I got yours.
Yeah, hang on, I don't even see your comments. I just see Rebecca's on this version.
You know what? We've got to just start with one because everyone's going to have, this is the whole reason we're doing this. Everyone's going to have their own markups. We got to hear everyone's comments. So
Oh, wait a minute, hang on, there was 2 attachments. There's 3 attachments.
The other condition component.
This might be it. Let me just download this and get a Word version.
This is what we should have been doing in the 13 minutes before.
yeah, right. Well, who would have thought? I thought we were just going to open it up and start, checking off each one.
So, you know what? So I'm looking at all these versions and they're all looking the same to me. Again, now this one, I don't see any comments besides Matt's and Rebecca's.
Rebecca, did everyone have your markup? Why can't we just take this one and get started?
I
You
got
can
two
read them.
versions open.
Rebecca can read each one. Start with findings and we'll go down from there.
Nope, start with plans. Sorry, I have since looked at it again.
Start with plans?
Yep, start at the beginning.
Bob, do you have Rebecca's markup?
I
It's
cannot
not on there,
find
but-
that version. Every one I pull up, hang on, I just closed all the ones I have. Let me open this one.
Do you have a Mac? Do you have a Mac?
If I could just,
Well, I got a Mac that was converted to a PC.
It won't show up on a Mac.
Yeah, I think that's my issue.
That is your issue, Bob.
if I
Although
could
I
just
did
let
it on
you,
the Mac.
if I could just let you folks know, I'm remote out in a parking lot right now, so I won't really be able to take notes on sort of the proceedings here. So if someone can kind of run that function to make a markup that, if you want me to, sort of go through and make changes, that would be wonderful and much appreciated.
Okay.
Matt, I thought you were on the golf course.
I wish. Well, I don't. I don't golf.
Yeah, it was the cap that was making me think that.
Yeah, right.
I saw some binoculars.
I know that you're abstaining from this meeting. But would you, as co-host, would you pull up the red line version?
I will, yes, I will.
Yeah, because I'm only getting the
Yeah,
original.
it's an issue with Mac. Macs don't like Word documents. What a
Yeah.
surprise.
But Teresa, you made extensive comments. Can we please pull the one up that has your comments? I mean, I looked at it. It seems like you had quite a few comments.
Which
I'm not,
one?
I'm
Gonna be
not one
comments
against, to
through the
go
whole
against the
thing.
wishes of our chair.
Well, I think we were struggling because Bob had I mean,
A Mac.
Bob's not having any comments. So I think we might as well, now that we had that, we might as well start out with one that has the most comments on it.
Yeah, I just said Rebecca.
We don't know
Matt's
that. We don't
comments.
know which one that is, quite honestly.
Oh, really? It was easy. It was
All right,
even
this is the
actually-
one I want to start with anyways. Let's start with this one, under findings, because there was some changes there. Right?
Okay, but hold on, wait. No, I want to start at the plans. I want to start earlier, if you don't mind.
Why do we have to start with the plans? Can't we do that at the end?
Okay. I was at the beginning, so I thought we'd start at the beginning.
I was thinking the same thing.
Happy to jump around if you want to.
I'm not jumping around. I'm working off the papers that you supplied me.
So Rebecca, isn't the plan is in section A? That's, you want to go before this?
All right, so when you open up this document, it says 8A8 rather, final approved plans. It lists them, it has a statement, and then it goes to findings, right?
Yes.
I just had a couple questions on those plans for the applicant.
Yeah, so we should start with those. It's the first comment in the report.
Yes, it's your comment on the side, Rebecca.
Okay.
I have another comment. That's what I was trying to say, is that I have since looked over some other things, so I have some other questions.
Go for it, Rebecca.
All right. So my question was for the applicant. It says site development plans and it references Copley Wolf and it says April 8th. I think we have a newer version, different than April 8th. And Copley Wolf was the landscape plan, and we have two sets. We have the civil plans and we have the landscape plans. Should those be referenced separately? So for instance, same title, but referencing Allen and Major for the civil plans, and then referencing Copley Wolf for the landscape plans, with the respective appropriate dates.
I think that's right.
Okay.
Think? You think or you know?
Jeez, but yeah,
tough crowd.
Tough.
Well, it's not being tough. I mean, we have to have the right plan.
Yeah, I think it was a May plan or June plan.
This is
Is that something you have to research, Matt?
Nope. This document that you're looking at is, I agree that whatever plans are, the plan record should be referenced here. One of the other documents that I provided you was the Form 5, which is the order of conditions, and that's the very formulaic, which includes general conditions that all orders have. This is just the sort of the amendment or the additional form that constitutes the special conditions. I think there's probably no reason to go through Form 5 collectively. That's pretty pro forma. So just so that folks know that this kind of feels like we're jumping into cold water, but there's a reason for that. But yeah, absolutely. I think whatever plans are plans of record should get added to this list. And I would ask Matt or Mitch to provide that complete list, and we'll just make sure we get that into this particular spot.
Yeah, Mitch, could you just, following this meeting, send them a clear list of what that was in that final submission box and what should be included as the plans of record?
Yes, I can do that.
All right, Ken, can you scroll down just a little bit? Yeah, okay, that's good.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't mean to keep jumping in. It just so happens that this is where I had some of my thoughts. So I'll apologize if they're a little haphazard. But Jimmy, you had mentioned at one point that on one of the sheets there showed a delineation. I think I don't have it in front of me. I can't remember. It's like wetland flag 92 to 108 or something like that. And I apologize, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe that was on the adjacent lot. And you had talked about either making a note saying that we didn't confirm those particular flags or removing it. Do you still want to do?
I really want that removed. I don't want any reference to that.
So you don't want?
I don't think it should be out there. It doesn't belong on the plan. It's not part of the plan.
Let me see if I can tell you exactly what flags it is, if you just give me a second. My thing's open.
Ken, was that version the one with at least Teresa's comments too?
No, that was the one that Rebecca sent. I could open the one with Teresa's comments and Paul's comments if you want.
Yeah, please.
I just want to confirm the applicant got the proposed conditions before our comments. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, where are we at?
Can you look? Oh, here it comes.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, so some of my changes, I'll admit, because I can't help myself, are not substantive, but just to clean this document up a little bit, like to be consistent with how if we use Wakefield, if we use WCC for Wakefield Conservation Commission, we should do that throughout. We don't do that throughout. I recommend pages to be put on it. I just define project instead of saying it involves, it consists of, and that's a defined term because we use project throughout this, and we should use a capital P project throughout this. Again, these are my not substantive comments. Also, we use the word act in this, and I would just, everywhere act appears, I would substitute Wetlands Protection Act. So again, those are my kind of cleanup issues I had.
Okay.
That makes sense.
All right, I have that specific information. Jim, you were talking about wetland flags A92 through A119,
Okay.
all of which are on the adjacent lot and wrap around the building. So it's like on the other side of the perennial stream and wrap around.
Right. So we want those removed.
Okay. They'll have to issue a new sheet for that. That's I think
fine.
C2.
So can we request, that's a separate surveying team, and that's going to take a really long time for us to get those updated plans and submitted.
But can I just ask a question? You make reference to that in the third bullet point under plans on page 2. In your addition, in your, there we go. You see, so that's already there.
So that should allow them to make the change after we approve the conditions, since it's in the conditions.
Yeah.
That was actually one of my questions is, why are we getting another plan after the order of conditions has been issued? I'm not sure I understood that part.
Can I just make a suggestion? Why don't we just say that a sheet C2, which is not part of this, you know, it shows wetlands flags, whatever, when it's not approved, it's not, you know, we're not making any comment on that period.
No.
Not that
Wait a minute, they just have to change one sheet. Let them change one sheet and take that off of there. It doesn't really belong there. It's not part of the project. There's no reason for it to be there.
We would just have to get an amended existing conditions plan, and it's just with a surveyor that we don't even use anymore. And
you don't need it. What's the surveyor for?
It's part of the, that's the basis of that is a survey that was done.
And they'll have to approve it and stamp it.
Correct.
So could we make a note, Jim, that says in the order that this order does not include, those are not an approved.
I'm going to tell you something. I feel strongly about it. I don't think it belongs there. I want it removed.
Does this go to the definition?
That's what they'll be doing.
Does this go to the definition of the word project? Is that what you're saying?
No, I think what Jim's saying is there's on the plans, there shows a wetland line that the commission didn't review and is not really part, but I think it's probably when those existing condition plans.
Part of what? You said it's not really part, but part of what? I'm sorry,
it's not on this lot. So it's not really.
So it's not part of the project.
And it's not uncommon to have that because sometimes that contributes to the buffer zone or other things. It just so happens.
Okay, but is the point that while it is shown on there, it is not part of the project, and therefore it is not, it is not approved, or
I believe that
simply not part of the project, and therefore you're saying it's irrelevant, Jim.
I know what I'm saying, Peter. I know I'm saying it's irrelevant. But I don't know how that could be used sometime in the future. And the problem we've had with that line going all the way down to 50 Corner Power Parkway has been an issue. And it's something I think that we just need to get rid of.
Mitch, can that sheet be wholly removed without changing any other aspects of this order?
I believe we need to keep that sheet in there. That shows a whole section of the project, not the project, but the existing conditions. I believe if we just put in that plan section of that bullet point, instead of a revision shall be made, you just state which flags were not approved during the commission's review of the project. And that should suffice, and it's going to be on the order.
You may think it might suffice, but I don't think it suffices. I don't know what that could be used for in the future. And that's what's driving me to say that it shouldn't be on there.
But your point is that
your company may buy the whole thing and decide to do something else. I don't know, but I don't think it's a good idea to have that on there. It's not relevant. I don't understand why they just can't take it off the plan. I don't know why.
I think just for something that's been in the public record for a year, it's it's challenging to delay.
Well, we told you this right from day one, though. When we first started with this project, it was mentioned. Nothing was said then that you couldn't take it off. It was just dropped. So no, I think it should go.
I think Mitch's point that was just made still stands and stood then. Yeah, it's a reference of existing conditions plan. Our recommendation would be that there's specific reference made in the order to what needs to be removed. But
I know that my recommendation is that it gets removed.
Jim, it would be good to finish this tonight. And if this is the only thing we're left with, we may want to consider.
Can I just ask another question? It does in this section plans further down the road looking at now, sort of say that there's a possibility that some of these plans may get updated or revised after the order of conditions is issued. Is that what this is saying? And is that likely? And that's not something I typically see, because it says once reviewed and signed, it'll be stamped, approved for construction or rejected. I'm just a little curious about that. I don't think I've ever seen a condition like that. I think typically when we issue the order, we have the last plan. So this is sort of tying into is if there is something else coming in the future that's covered under this language, is there a possibility of covering that sheet at the same time? I need a little bit more information about that. I haven't seen it handled like that before.
I think that would be a question for me. This is something we've used in the past when there are minor modifications that that the order of conditions requires, that any changes made as a result of the order get made, stamped, and submitted. If that's not the way you handle things, just take this out. That's that's a very simple solution to this. If the plans of record are in hand and you require no further adjustment to them, this whole statement could simply go away if this isn't the way the commission typically handles things.
Well, Matt, you put this in.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any revisions to plans other than the bullet point that we're discussing now required?
No, it's just something. It's a provision that we occasionally use. We put in orders of conditions to facilitate any changes that are required in this sort of finalization process. But again, if that's not the way the commission wants to handle things, there's nothing holding you to this. This is just kind of material that BSC has used in a number of circumstances. But if it's not suitable to the way you want to handle things, by all means, this could simply go away.
So this is Mitch Maslanka. I would prefer that condition stay in there. Projects change over time. Little design changes are going to happen with this project and all projects in the future that you'll see. So keeping that condition in there allows us to come to you with those slightly revised plans and show you, in order to make, this improvement here, or in order to make this work, we need to show you a revised plan and we need to get those approved.
But Mitch, that's not what this is saying. This is saying changes that we require by this order. It doesn't say any other changes.
Right.
Because it can't be a moving target. It has to be, we have to know what it is we're talking about. So the changes you just suggest are not intended this is not intended to cover that. So
yeah,
I'm going to, at all. Again, I'm going to suggest, and again, others, I feel like I'm talking too much. I'm sorry, but I'm going to suggest that we take this out because it's inapplicable.
That's fine. There is a condition. I don't have any idea what number, but there is, Mitch, to your point, there is a special condition in there to allow that addresses what you were talking about. So.
And where is that, Matt?
Yeah, I truly don't know the number, but it's in there. I'm sure we'll get to it tonight. But this, to the point at hand, if the Wakefield Conservation Commission isn't comfortable with this language here, strike it. It's really, this is your document at the end of the day. And if it's causing consternation or confusion, there's really no, if you don't see any value in having this language here, strike it. I won't be offended.
Can I just ask a quick question? I'm just sorry. How is that any different than just the ordinary circumstances along? If there's something changes, they come forward and say, is this minor? Can you rule it as minor? Or do we need an amended? How is that typical situation, which we don't put in an order for because it seems like it's already covered in the regs? How is that, or have you seen, or why would this be more valuable to include this as is than just allowing the typical standards to stay?
This is I think this is a nuance that you can choose to exercise or not. Some commissions do. Yeah.
And Mitch, why does that work better for you guys if we keep it in there as opposed to just the ordinary circumstance like I just mentioned, which is something happened, we're going to give you the information, here's what it looks like, is it minor or do we need an amended? How would keeping this language in there, how do you feel that would facilitate this better than just that ordinary process?
So that process is covered in conditions in number 6 below here.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
So you're asking me about condition 6 here?
No.
Well, I was asking about, you had said that you prefer to keep it in there because things change, and I totally agree and understand. I'm just wondering why that would need to be in there, because under the ordinary process, if something changes, it's either minor and we just say, okay, it's minor, you can proceed, or it is significant and it requires an amended. How would keeping that language in there be beneficial under what seems to be like an already covered circumstance, unless you know of a circumstance like something more specific where you've used that and you think it's valuable? I'm just trying to get more information.
I mean, could you point to what condition or sentence you're referring to?
We're talking, Matt, we're talking,
Sorry.
Mitch, Rebecca's talking about the language in page 2 that we were dealing with, the third bullet, or and this whole thing that Matt put in here, I think, about changes being made to the drawings.
So bullet number 3, a revision shall be made to sheet C2.
We want that in somewhere in here, I think. Jimmy, and he's absolutely correct. We want to fix the delineation issue that's out there. But beyond that, we don't need this and 6, I think, is what I'm suggesting, and I think what Rebecca's suggesting.
Yeah. See, I think there's a really big issue with keeping bullet point number 3, to be honest, because that survey was done for the old order of conditions, and that's what the whole rest of the order of conditions, ours is going to be based off of. So we need to keep that in there. You know, as far as revising plans, that's, I think that time has come and gone, because Merrill is no longer part of the project. Those are stamped plans that were put in the record years ago. So to Jim's point of he doesn't want anyone using it, you know, it's already there. And then second, it's easy to put the language in the governing document, which is the order of conditions here, that says that these flags do not apply to this project and were not approved by the commission and should not be used unless brought up in future filings. You know, I think we can just add some language that makes sure that nobody will ever use those flags unless you guys review them in the future. And plus, removing them from the plan but leaving everything else off-site, you know, no one's going to know where the other side of the river might be. You know, you still need to have an idea of where the other bank of the river is going to be to know, you know, how wide and, you know, generally how wide that river is and what's on the other side as for buffer zone. So I think it's critically important to keep that delineation there, even if you guys didn't approve those specific flags. Matt, Matt Byrne, would you be amenable to crafting some language that discusses just remove or not approving those specific flags?
I can certainly take a stab at it. Yeah, but if it comes down to whether the commission is comfortable with that.
Yeah, Teresa, can I ask you this? That doesn't this go to your point about defining the project? I mean, I keep coming back to that if it's not on the property, it's not part of the project, and we have no opinion on it, and it's not. And
I don't think it hurts to make it clear that it's not. I'm not necessarily, I guess, Peter. I don't think it hurts to make it clear that we're not making any statement about those flags.
Because they're not part of the project.
I think that someone could look at this years down, could be a couple of years, you don't know, and they may use that line and thinking it was something that they could rely on. I don't see that as being.
But the commission could just reject that and say, you know, if someone comes forward showing those lines on
all
a new
delineation
plan,
needs to be redelineated.
We don't approve of this.
And also, the actual language of the order will say to the contrary. So, Jim,
yeah, but you see it on a drawing, and all of a sudden it becomes something different.
But you have to look at the wording of the order.
Yeah.
Can we mark up the original drawing also, hand mark it up and say, these flags were not approved by the commission?
Well, then we're messing with a stamp drawing. So
Yeah, I don't know that you can do that.
Yeah.
Put a Post-it on there with an arrow.
I don't know. I don't know engineering standards. Mitch or Matt might be able to address this, but could a note, you know, literally not a Post-it, but could a note be placed on an approved stamped plan that's, you know, with a flag that says this flag series is not approved? I don't know if, you know, if a note on the plan set could be added.
Mitch, why was it put on there in the first place?
That was a delineation and plan made several years ago when the plan was dated. If you look at that plan sheet, you'll see it was stamped in 2019 by a surveyor. So he picked up those flags, and those are locations of flags. So it's fine that those are there. They exist. That's where someone demarcated the wetland boundary.
Yeah.
But for this project, they're not relevant, and we can just denote that in the order which we're going to be using.
Mitch, they were specific to the ORAD that was issued for to Waterstone Wakefield, correct, in 2019?
That was a previously approved plan. I think it was order conditions that approved the delineation.
But if any new project were to come in front of the Conservation Commission using that line and saying this was approved, the commission would simply say, that's an old line, we don't approve that, and you got to redelineate.
Right.
Not only can we say we don't approve that, we can say we didn't approve that.
Well,
With the specific language to be put
in the
into
order
this
that
order,
right.
which is what we should be doing here. If the survey company isn't available to cooperate, and I've been in that position in the past, then the simplest way to take it is put the language here. So Matt needs to draft the language for us, and we'll review it to get it to move ahead.
Jim, are you comfortable with that?
You talking to me?
Yes.
My experience is that you're better off to keep your delineations within the scope of the project, because you never know what's going to happen in the future. And I can't anticipate all the problems that maybe nothing's going to come out of it. And I understand what everyone's saying. I agree with what you're saying. I'm just afraid we've had problems down the other end of this, down at 50 Quantipower Parkway with that delineation. And there's stuff, I'm not going to get into what our problems were, but I just don't want to see that delineation's heading around the back of the building and heading towards 50 Quantipower Parkway, and that's scaring me.
Let me ask a quick question. So if we make the notation in the order that says these flags 92 through 119 were not approved as part of this order, would that mean that the flags that we're referring to that are not approved as part of this order would have a different expiration date? So I'm wondering if Jimmy is worried that they could use this in the future, but if it's not approved, would those flags need to be a new delineation? It would not carry through under the previous approval. So I'm wondering what would be the expiration date of those flags, and can you separate it? I guess, can you separate it first? And then if you did separate it, meaning these are approved and have a different expiration date than the ones that were not approved, can you separate it like that? And if you can, would it have a different expiration date?
Well, can I just answer a question in response to your question, Rebecca? When do flags ever have an expiration date?
Well, at the end of the order of conditions. Or like, yeah, right.
They expire after 3 years. Delineation expires after 3 years, and whether that's
so there's no delineation.
So it's already expired or about to.
Yeah. So were they approved under the prior order 578?
Yeah, I think that's what he's saying is those flags were under a previous order, that order of which was approved, of which they're applying under. So this, we didn't need to look at the delineation again because it was already approved under a different order and they have that window of time, right? So what I'm saying, asking is if that when they got this NOI in that window of time, so this delineation was granted under the old order, if we move forward and say, okay, that's true, this now has another 3 years, right? Do you have to include it? Is it all inclusive, or can you separate out specific flags? And if you can, maybe that would solve your problem, Jim, because if you say this order does not include the approval of these flags, then would those expire when the previous one expired? Matt, I think this is a question for you, and you look like you're mulling it over.
I certainly am. It's a very interesting question. I have no idea what the answer is. I'll be perfectly frank. But if your order of conditions expressly states that flag series A92 to A119 are not approved under this order of conditions,
yeah,
you know, I think that covers you, and
I understand.
They will expire with the 3 years post the approval of the order that came in 2019, or the ORAD. I think that's clean enough. I don't think you'd lose that on an appeal.
Okay.
I think, Matt, I agree with what you're saying, but I've seen in the past where all of a sudden a plan appears that is showing information that no one thought was there.
Yeah, but I think, Jim, I think that ultimately it comes down to your authority.
No, I understand that, but we've had discussions with DEP over other projects that, and what they did is they brought, that's what they did. They brought in a separate plan with a separate delineation, and I really can't get into all the details, but I'm gonna go with whatever you want to go with. I understand. I can see what you're saying. I understand. It's should be dead. I think it's the appearance of it being in paper and black and white that's bothering me, because its appearance means something.
But I also think that there's that to say why it's not being, not on the property and it's not part of the project.
Yeah,
I think that's important to say.
Okay. I'm just telling you what my view was.
We're not including it, and we're not being capricious or arbitrary. It's just not in front of us.
We're not approving it because it's not part of the project, and we're only approving the project and the project's activity.
I understand all that.
All right, so can we get some language added to clarify that?
Can I ask a question? Are we otherwise taking out the section on plans?
Yeah, I think that was what we were agreeing, wasn't it?
Yep, I'm just confirming.
Well, is there anything in here that needs to be maintained? The first sentence.
Well, we already have them.
We don't actually have the most current ones.
We don't?
Not being referenced in this order.
Yeah, but we'll fix that when the order comes out. That'll be, I'm all for removing that. I'm not sure I see the advantage, and I think all it can do is contribute to confusion.
I could not agree more. They're inapplicable here.
So the whole section regarding plans would be removed?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
No, wait, which section are we talking about here? I'm sorry. We're not talking about the third.
The language at the bottom of the second, is it the second page we're looking at here?
Plans prior to applying for building permit.
Just that.
Applicant shall provide to the Wakefield Conservation Commission 2 sets of updated stamped engineering drawings that incorporate the following revisions, blah, blah, blah. That whole paragraph
goes away.
So where are we going to put that language about?
You don't need that language.
You don't need this because it's in 6, Peter.
Okay, I got. I guess you're saying you're somewhere else, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's all. Got it. I understand.
But this would be an appropriate place potentially for the simple statement that this order does not approve flags A92 to A119, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So yeah, whomever is controlling the thing that's displayed right now, if you can delete that and track changes, and I have a note to craft some language, that simple statement, then that would be great.
Actually, Matt, there's a more appropriate place on that page to put your remarks about the deletion of the flags, and that's just above where it discusses the 2019 order and conditions.
Okay.
Well, again, Ken, are you are stop sharing your screen?
Here we're back.
Okay. Now the language that says the additional language that Rebecca put in saying we find the order of conditions issued in 2019 setting for the wetland delineation, that has to be, again, that language has to be changed in order to make reference to the fact that we're excluding, we're not making any comment right now, we're not making
Exactly.
any, right. So that's where it belongs.
Yes. That's what I was saying to Matt, Teresa.
Yes, no, I'm sorry. I was just agreeing with you, Paul, and just pointing out that it goes in that language.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Great.
Okay.
All righty.
Okay. On to special conditions.
So I couldn't agree more with Rebecca's comment on comment number 4 over there, saying in number 3, we want to make that stay a condition in effect until the certificate of compliance is issued.
Hey. Which condition is that? It's not linked to.
It's the comment is after, is at the end of
3?
number 3, yeah, Paul.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, that makes sense.
Let me just interject something as well. This section on the environmental monitor, I cut it and pasted it and sent it over to the town engineer for his review, because sometimes these things overlap, and he was happy with the way it was.
Great, Rebecca.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the answer to Rebecca's question on 3 is yes. So that's something else you'll need to draft, Matt.
All right, anything else? 1, 2, 3, 4. If not, we can scroll.
Actually, I had a general question. We've referenced WCC numbers. Are they attached to this as specific conditions then?
They would be included with these.
Okay.
Wait, no.
Right?
No.
No.
You're not going to include our general.
No. No.
All right.
So
So
when I
then do we
referenced
want to specifically have Matt incorporate the ones that are called out here into this document.
No, sorry. So when we had talked about reviewing this document ages ago, someone had said, review our conditions in conjunction with these. So what I did was, when there was a condition here that was very, very similar to something that we typically include in our standard, I made reference to it. So for instance, when it says numbers 23 and 24 under condition number 6, that's because we have conditions in our standard number 23 and number 24 that are very, very similar to the language that's included in number 6.
So we
So
don't
I was
need to
showing
add
which ones
those as
overlap.
well. This condition 6 does what we would do in 23 and 24.
But that was just a cross-reference Rebecca did for
Okay,
us.
fine.
But it won't be, that paren won't be included. And then you'll see later on the next page, Rebecca suggested that we insert, she found things that weren't included in Matt's form of conditions that we want to include.
Okay.
So
that's clear now.
We will not have any of our own.
We will have some of them that Rebecca specifically wants.
Yeah, Bob, there will be some on the next page. Look at the next page.
When I read this document, I didn't read it that way. So I didn't cross-reference all of our standard conditions to this document, but Rebecca, you've done that.
Yes, these were comments to you guys that if you're looking for, because I to do so or that. So when I said, like I said, when I referenced them, I thought you guys would look at this one, look at your land that there. I think that this would be the guiding document here, not doing both, because then it'd be very redundant, and which means very confusing. So I was referencing, okay, so this is similar to our 23-24, read our 23-24, ensure that you guys are super comfortable with this one overriding those two, and we would go with this. That's how I thought I was doing it.
Yes, and we appreciate your reviewing it, and I was looking at our standing conditions and was comparing, but we thank you for doing that for us.
I would, and also the ones that were missing were just ones that were missing. I'm not necessarily recommending they go in. I just want you guys to read them. These weren't included yet. So did you think they were important, or did you feel that they were not applicable or covered?
Yeah, we should look at that. We should look at the standing. Yeah, Matt wants to say something.
I'm afraid I wasn't made aware that you have a body of standard conditions. That would have been helpful. You know, I would have incorporated whatever your standards are, but by all means, we can do that post facto. If you want these ones that Rebecca has identified, if you can just provide me with that document that you usually work from, I'm happy to sort of bring those in.
I actually think they were very similar, and there's a lot of language that overlaps. Again, the references, I'm happy to give you one, of course, but I think there was a lot of stuff. I think this is one working document is going to work perfectly. I just wanted them to look at what they usually think is included and make sure that they're comfortable. Either it's not, or the language has changed. It still covers the idea.
Gotcha.
But I mean, I'm happy to send it to you, but I think this is great.
So do you want to go to the next page when you asked the question? Is there a landscape O&M plan? Actually, Matt asked the question.
Yeah,
it's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, different projects handle that differently. I wasn't. A lot of things had transpired between my last involvement and sort of where we are today, and so I wasn't sure if a landscape O&M had been developed for this, or if you were planning on asking for one, or what all. So that was included on my behalf because I like seeing one. But the question was added because I wasn't sure how that was being handled here.
That's included in the drainage report.
Okay.
Section 3, I want to say.
So I don't think we need that sentence then.
Yeah, because the drainage report is referenced throughout. So,
yep.
So that I think you're right.
So I don't know, Ken, how adept you are at this, but you're very adept. Are you able to pull our standing conditions, and can we look at our standard numbers 25, 26, 27, 28?
I will try. It's going to be a split screen.
We have the utmost confidence in you, Ken.
Oh, thank you.
I do have a hard copy available I'm looking at right now.
I have it up. I just have to. All right, just give me one moment, please. You're gonna have to let me know what you see on the screen as well.
Yes, we will, Ken.
I don't think it's letting me split my screen.
Well, you can just pull up the standard or the standard conditions, Ken.
So what can you see?
We're seeing the not the standard conditions.
We've seen the order.
We're seeing what Matt prepared.
All right, I'm sorry, I can't share both of them. I'll just do one at a time.
So it's 25. Here we go.
Okay, so that's good. 25 is good. 26.
There was a note insert 25, 26, 27, 28.
So I had a general question. When we use the term, I think I put it in later on, when we use the term wetland resource area, is a wetland resource area the riverfront?
It is one of
the wetland
it is
resource is the wetland.
No, my question is, does wetland resource area mean the riverfront area? So we're
Does it
saying
include it?
we can't.
No, I was confused about that myself.
Yeah, so we're saying nothing can be put within 100 feet of an area 300 feet from the river.
Oh, I see your point. Right. No, that would be a redundancy that shouldn't be implied, I think.
So yeah, so I was just confused as to, because the resource area is the riverfront area, right?
Well, it was, resource area is used generically to talk about all jurisdictional resources. So,
but a 100-foot buffer zone isn't a resource area, is it?
Correct.
But a riverfront area is a resource area. That's what I'm just trying to understand.
Yes.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
so again, we're just saying we can't do it within 100 feet of 200 feet. So that'd be within 300 feet. And if that's what we mean, that's fine.
Are you going to be able to meet 26? Because it's
26. I don't see.
So that condition is talking about work before the pre-construction meeting. So that's just all we have to do is install erosion controls. So we'll only be allowed to cut, small branches and shrubs in order to put erosion control in. And we're not allowed to cut trees until we have that pre-construction
so
meeting.
You have no problem with this language then?
I have no issue with that. No.
Okay.
Okay.
Then never mind.
Okay.
This issue will come up again later with the reference to wetland resource area, but we don't have to worry about it right now.
Sure.
So 27 references DEP general condition 15. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's access, basically accessing the property.
Yeah, 28.
Now, why do we need 27? Because 15 already says that. Rebecca.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah, why do we need 27 when it's?
I actually don't think you do.
Okay, so let's get rid of 27 then.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna insert 25, 26, not 27, and then the last one you suggested here was 28. I'd be in favor of 28.
What did you say, Teresa?
I would favor the inclusion of 28.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yep. Let's go on then.
Yes. Rebecca, you had a comment in I'm sorry, Ken, can you go back to, thank you.
Yeah.
So number 9 talks about an erosion control bond.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. Is there some kind of a number that you can figure out to see if what you're going to come up with is reasonable?
Not only that, but we've never done that before.
Yeah.
Didn't we do it once? Have a bond? I thought we did.
We had a bond for Montrose Woods, I think.
Yep. And
But
we
that went through the planning board.
Yeah.
I thought we had one though.
No. We did have a bond for that.
I'd say if you feel comfortable with the project proceeding without said bond, strike it. I think that's easy to resolve if you know.
Well, the only thing I was wondering is 25 cents per square foot. I mean, is that enough or is it not enough? Or is it close to being enough? Or does it even matter?
I asked the applicant, is the zoning board of appeal requiring any kind of bond?
No, there are no bonds being required. The zoning board of appeals may require a bond in certain cases of landscape installation, but nothing as part of our conditions.
I mean, I don't think we can do a bond, can we?
Yeah, I think we can. We've had this discussion before.
I know we had one for Montrose Woods for the bridge, but I don't remember how it was done.
I thought there was one other one.
Rebecca, what's your feeling on this?
I've never done it. I've never been involved with it, so I don't know anything about it. I'm happy to explore how it gets done in the event that you guys want to pursue that. I think typically it's done with other boards, not ours. I don't find that we have a big issue with erosion control. I feel like maybe they used to. I don't run into a lot of problems that don't easily get rectified. However, this is a big project. If you guys are more comfortable with something like that, I can investigate how to do it if you guys really wanted it. And I can speak with the accountant and see how that gets set up. Or I could find out the information just for your information.
Yeah, Judy, I think, Judy, you've been involved with these discussions before. Do you remember the particulars?
I don't remember it having a bond in a previous hearing.
I know we talked about the mechanics of it before. I just don't remember the specifics. An account set up, an escrow or something account, and
well, I mean,
yeah, that was when we were talking about the consultant. It's set up in a separate escrow account.
About what? I'm sorry, Judy, you were muffled.
When it was for the consultant, we talked
Oh, the
about it.
consultant. Yeah.
Yes.
That was actual money, not a bond. Right.
Right.
There's going to be an environmental monitor, right? So I don't, that person would be able to check things out to make sure everything is secure.
Yeah, and we have the right to get our own environmental monitor as well. So
Right. So I don't know that we really need it.
I agree that we should not include it.
Yeah, I guess my only concern is something goes very wrong very quickly. You know, what happens? Yeah, you put a enforcement order on, but
Well, they do have other conditions in here that maybe we can come back to this and see if the other conditions are covering what you're concerned about.
okay.
For what it's worth, it's a very flat site, and it's already developed. So really, this is probably something that could be stricken without too much heartache.
I think the biggest problem might be trucks running over the hay bales or something like that. It might not.
I think that's covered. That probably doesn't require a bond. That's covered in kind of the day-to-day operations during construction period, and your monitors and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, right. So we probably really don't need that.
I think you could probably get rid of this one.
Okay.
So your next comment, oh no, sorry. Your next comment, Rebecca, was on page, on number 13, that a pre-construction meeting happened within 2 weeks. So are we going to change 72 hours to 2 weeks?
Wait a minute, you're on 13?
Yep.
Okay, the applicant shall contact.
I just think Elaine and I have challenging schedules. We work very limited hours. 72 hours we might not even know. But I'm flexible on it too.
I guess it's not really 72 hours notice, though. It's 72. I guess it's just saying that 72 hours before any work starts, we can't start work until that meeting happens, correct?
Right.
It's just how much warning does the commission want to, when you're ready for your pre-construction meeting, can you call them 3 days in advance and say, hey, we're ready. Can we set something up? Or do you want to have a 2-week window lead time between when you're ready to request a meeting and when it gets set? I think.
So can I suggest we add the words at least 2 weeks prior to any intended meeting date, the applicant shall No, I was going to.
The 72 hours, is that just hour by hour? I mean, is it, does that include nights and days and holidays and weekends? And is it just a straight 72 hours?
The way it's written, it is.
Yeah, it can be whatever you want, really. I mean.
Well, I'm asking what was intended, because it just says 72 hours. That could be
72. Yeah.
It's 20.
Yeah, it would have been. But again, that's entirely, there's nothing. There's no requirement here. It's whatever the commission's.
No, I understand, but I guess what I'm asking is what was meant when that was put in there? What are you thinking?
72 hours.
So that's like from start point to continuous until you hit 72.
Yeah.
So that would be a total of what? How many days?
3.
How many days?
3.
3 days. Right. So that's not a long time.
Rebecca, what would you feel comfortable with? Is it 2 weeks or is it something less?
My only concern, like I said, is that we work limited hours and Elaine even less, and she does a lot of the site visits, and she only really does them once a week. So maybe a little bit of timing would be beneficial. I'm not super stressed out about it, but it just might be easier to coordinate for us, for our purposes. I don't know if they have any opposition to having a greater timeline of how that wouldn't work out for them. If there's something to consider, we can consider it.
I think
The applicant actually recommended 2 weeks.
Yeah, this is one meeting that we have months to prepare for. I think we're fine with the 2 weeks.
Let's just do it.
Here it is, 2 weeks.
Okay.
Perfect.
Done. Move on.
So you delete 72 there, right?
Did you fix that? You're gonna take out the 72 hours, right?
Change to 2 weeks. It's got a note.
Yeah, there's a no. I don't think I'm the appropriate person making the.
Okay. Alrighty.
There it is.
Okay, we defined the project in 17. Oh, sorry. And then we have to go back to the our general condition, our conditions. Ken, can you go back to that document?
Which number?
33 and 30, 33, 35, 36.
31.
No, not 31. She was just cross-referencing 31. We're just looking at the thing.
33.
Yeah, and Rebecca's point, which is B is already included elsewhere, but the photographs was not included. Photographs were not included. So we want to include 33A. Because B was already included, as Rebecca said, in Matt's conditions 7. So we just want A to be included there. So it's 33, the text plus 33A. So yes, yes, that's the 33A, I think.
You want to keep it? Is that what you're saying?
You want to include 33A in Matt's draft.
Yeah, I think wetlands are photographs are a good idea. As long as you take the right pictures.
And then we're looking at 35 and 36.
Okay, 35 and 36.
Yeah, I mean, with 35 though, it doesn't have to be strapping boards. There are other methods that actually are better for protecting trees.
Yeah.
They've got the half a corrugated pipe.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people using now.
How about methods acceptable to the conservation?
Yeah.
Instead of saying by strapping boards, by a method acceptable to the
suitable method.
Right.
Great.
That condition should be revised, for us anyways going forward.
Which one, Bob?
So
35.
35.
Yeah.
We specifically state strapping boards, and it really isn't the best way to do it now.
Yeah, right.
That's old school.
And now 36. So do we cover this elsewhere? Are they is the applicant replacing any trees removed over 6 inches by?
I think that we had concluded at some point previous that the Wakefield tree protection, I'll forget the name of it. It's not a bylaw, but tree protection policy was adequately covered by the planting plan because they're planting a whole lot of trees. So I think that that's probably unnecessary because that speaks directly to the
right. Okay.
tree protection plan.
So we don't think we need 36.
I don't think you need 36.
Agreed.
Okay.
I also agree.
So in going back to the Matt's order, number 20, you had a question, Rebecca, next to 100 feet.
Yeah, I think that was stray. I'm not sure what that was.
Oh, okay, ignore that.
Sorry about that.
A straight question mark.
Yep.
I don't want you to think I didn't look at your comments, Rebecca.
Sorry.
So this is Mitch. Could I have a second to chat about special condition 20? Because we had some concerns on our half. Great. So the 100 feet, we can abide by that unless there's, certain site specific circumstances where, during demo or during construction, certain aspects of the project might make that a tight space for us to fit trash dumpsters or the other condition we were concerned about was regarding the portable toilets. If we could ask the commission at certain times for approval to shift them for a certain amount of days into that 100 feet, I think that would help us work more smoothly, while also making sure you guys are aware of us shifting the trash dumpsters for a day or two.
I think that makes sense because this could be very restrictive.
Yeah,
with 100 feet.
I agree. That's a long distance.
Well, should we say without the prior approval of the Conservation Commission?
So I had sent a letter and I asked that at the very end of the sentence after riverfront area, that we include the phrase unless otherwise approved by the Conservation Commission.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Great, appreciate that.
I mean, think about the lake itself. 100 feet from the lake is pretty far away.
Yeah.
Are you adding that also to the next, to the one about the portable restrooms, that same phrase there?
Yeah, what number is that? Do you remember that offhand?
Right below.
20.
Oh, right there. I'm sorry, 20. Sorry. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, we appreciate that.
And 22, I just made reference. I deleted Wakefield wetland bylaw because unfortunately we don't have one.
Yep.
Oh, thank you. Sorry about that.
I'm saving this before I lose it.
Right. Okay. All right, here's my question about stockpiles and about the wetland resource area. So the way it reads now, 50 feet away from a wetland resource area would be 50 feet away from BVW, right, or bank, and then it would mean 50 feet away from 200 feet, which is the riverfront area, right?
Let's see. All stockpiles within WCC jurisdictional areas. So that would include actual resources and buffer zone.
Okay.
The 50 feet, there shall be no stockpiling outside the approved limit of work. Shall be located further than 50 feet from the wetland resource areas to the extent practicable. So the first part of the sentence refers to wetland jurisdictional resource areas and 100-foot buffer zones, because that's your jurisdictional area.
Yep.
The middle part of the sentence talks about 50 feet from resource areas, so jurisdictional areas. So that may be that may create some confusion, and I could revisit that and tighten it up if you want me to. I'm happy to sort of take another stab at that and kind of try to clarify that.
And how would you tighten it up, Matt?
I'll have to think on it and just see what I'm.
Right.
Pardon?
I said you can't draft on the spot. I'm only kidding.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm good at it, but I'll make a note and I'll get back to you and I'll shoot that.
Well, do
Rebecca
others think that's a
Lane.
concern?
It could be confusing.
Okay, I'll review it. I'll send out some draft text in the next day or two and see how it lands. And if it's okay with everyone, I'll copy Mitch and Matt at the same time, just so that we can kind of try to push this forward as quickly as possible, and try to resolve this.
That's reasonable.
Okay.
So just to clarify, Matt, so when we're done tonight, Ken's going to send you this document, and then you're going to use this to make all, and also the special conditions, our special conditions, and then you're going to use all of that to make one nice little bundle of what your final version of this will look like.
Yep.
And that's what you're going to send out to everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, but this thing's got to be done by the 14th, right?
Yeah. When can you do that, Matt?
Before the 14th. Is that the 31 days or 21 days? I mean.
No, we're gonna sign. We're gonna finish this and sign.
Oh,
it.
I see. Yeah.
That's our next meeting.
That's next week. That's your regular meeting next week. Yeah, I'll get this to you before then, with time to digest it.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we don't get it like the day before.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, I'm in the field all day tomorrow, but this will be top of list Monday.
That's great. Thank you, Matt. Okay, next comment. So Rebecca and number 38 asked the question, can we impose fines without a bylaw?
I think so.
Oh.
Where are you, Teresa?
Number 38. Oh, 37.
Okay.
No, number 37.
Rebecca's comment, if it is over to the right, Jim says, can we impose fines without a bylaw?
I don't think you can.
Yeah, I don't think you can either.
No.
So I think we should take out and end the sentence at enforcement actions.
Yeah. Okay. It's fine.
Take the whole sentence out?
No,
No, just end it after the word actions.
ended after the word actions, yes.
Yep.
Okay, my next comment was, I think the next comment in general was at 50, instead of using this language, we're going to substitute the language here that Brian McGrail sent us prior to a couple of hours prior to our last meeting that we talked about at the last meeting. And I know, I don't know, Matt, do you have that language?
No.
So we can send you that language, and then and I think it should make reference to the plan, and that that plan should be attached to this order so we know what we're talking about. Do others think that makes sense?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
absolutely.
So Rebecca, I don't know if you can you send that language to Matt?
I'm sorry, can you repeat what you wanted me to send?
The language that Brian McGrail sent to us on the afternoon of our last meeting. Oh, I'm sorry. I know I talk very fast. I'm sorry.
I wonder if I have it here.
You sent it to Matt Byrne.
Did you just send it?
Like 20 seconds ago.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.
I did hear a ding. I didn't know whether it was me or somebody in the parking lot.
Okay.
And did that include the plan, Matt?
That's right. Yep.
Thank you.
Takes care of that one.
It looks like I didn't receive that, but if Matt, if I need to, I'll reach back out to you if it doesn't come in over the course of the evening.
Sounds good.
I have another question. Sorry. In the, where it talks about the renaturalization area, and it references that plan was dated April 11th. And then in that renaturalization area plan, it references plans that now would be outdated. Do we need to correct that?
And where are you looking? Can you tell us where you're looking?
Sorry,
Rebecca?
yep, sure can. So in condition number 42, it talks about the renaturalization area. Okay. And in letter A, it just references the document that Goddard prepared, which is the renaturalization area plan. My only question is on page 3 of that plan that's referenced in A, it lists out 2 sets of plans, which we have now since changed the date of. It's actually more of a question. Do we need to somehow indicate that those dates are different? So what I'm saying is that plan in A references plans that we have now revised and dated. So that would be, I'm just trying to eliminate any confusion in the future.
Yes.
So how can we handle that situation? What's the best way to do that?
Can we say, note that the plans referenced in in the April 11th, 22 plan are revised to read as follows. So we can put right in here.
In letter A?
Yeah, in letter A, what the new plan dates are referenced in the April 11th, 2022 plan.
Okay.
Why don't we just put in the date of the new plans?
Right. No, because the April 11th date is correct, but the plans referenced in that plan are incorrect.
What?
Yeah,
I don't really think there's that much of a-
renaturalization plan references plan sheets, drawings that are now in
have different dates.
Well, the renaturalization plan was submitted April 11th.
Yeah.
Dated April 11th, but it references plan sheet drawings which have been updated since then.
Right.
You can say that here. Okay, now I understand.
If I could be provided with the correct date for those updated plan sheets, that would be great.
Yeah, I think that's what we were talking about all the way back in the very, very, very beginning.
Oh.
But I just wasn't sure the best way. I try to eliminate as much confusion, because when I look back at these things 10, 20 years later, and I find these types of things, discrepancies, I'm like, oh, I don't know which one they're talking about. So it's not that significant. I don't think the plan changes were that big of a deal, but I would rather just try to fix it up now. Let me just see if there's something else. Did we talk about snow at all in here? Snow
No, we want to talk about lighting too, I thought.
I think Bob said we did.
We discussed it during the meeting and we were satisfied with the approach. We also, there was a snow plan, I thought.
It was the lighting plan.
Lighting plan and snow plan.
Yeah, the lighting plan is part of the plan set.
And the drainage report, which includes the O&M plan, has that exhibit that we shared, which is the snow storage plan.
Okay, is that where it is?
Yeah.
And Matt,
sorry.
Does that talk about being, sort of updated occasionally per DEP? Does it have that kind of language?
I believe it does. I would need to double check it, but I'm almost certain it does.
Yeah.
And I apologize and I'm hoping you know this off the top of your head, as you seem to know all of this, but I don't remember this particular. When it talks about the snow plan, does it have any type of signage that indicates that this is the snow storage area or this is not a snow storage area? I'm sorry if I know I could look it up. I'm just wondering if you happen to remember it.
It does. I don't believe it has like a signage plan affixed to it. So essentially, the way that the snow storage plan is basically, it's all the interior landscape that's like the nice flower areas, flower beds and whatever that aren't jurisdictional. That's where it's getting dumped.
Okay, so it's not necessary to make a snow storage sign because it's irrelevant for us anyway.
Yeah, and I think also in there we specify the fact that there's routine at every snow event that the snow is getting carted away. So it's not long-term storage anyways.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
No need to apologize, Rebecca.
Hey, did we cover anything as far as like a truck wash or best management practices for trucks entering and exiting?
There is, I don't remember where, but there is a special condition talking about equipment management during construction.
Okay.
I don't know if there's I don't remember if there's something specific about.
There it is. 29, yeah. Yeah, so all contractors, subcontractors shall be informed that equipment, machinery,
This has to do with storage, but not access.
vehicle storage, washing, yeah. So also this one, yeah, it says greater than 100 feet from wetland resource. Don't know if that's always going to be possible to keep vehicles 100 feet away.
Well, this is storage and refueling.
Cleaning equipment, washout, refueling, all that should be 100 feet away from wetlands.
Yeah, this is a like vehicles, machinery, equipment, machinery, and vehicle storage. I mean, what's included in vehicle storage? Cars?
Parking of heavy equipment.
It doesn't say that necessarily.
Machinery and vehicle storage.
It says vehicle storage. So I don't know if we need to clarify or specify.
Would you expect the need to store equipment closer than that? I mean, I know there are constraints on the site given kind of the physical layout of everything. You know, this is kind of a standard thing you see in SWIP, 401 requirements and so forth. But, you know, I don't think that you're beholden to that standard if you think it would cause undue problems.
Yeah, I don't know if the applicant can meet that 100 feet.
My primary concern would be with the reconstruction of Quantico Parkway and that's proximity and the need for staging direct while that's happening directly around it. And I think that is going to include, mixing equipment and machinery in those areas. It's going to be there for days at a time.
You might be able to have one of those statements that we proposed earlier about without, I forget how we said it, but with prior approval of the commission.
Yeah.
For this one.
I think we need to.
And that way it generates a conversation so that you guys are kept in the loop when those things need to happen, and you have a kind of stricter keep eyes on it a little bit more in those circumstances when it's happening.
We can get comfortable with that.
Are we covered with the requirement to have a wash area, like entrance and exit for vehicles? Is that covered somewhere?
That may not be. Like taking care of track out from the site.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't recall a specific language about that. I can make a note to add a condition about track out.
I'm just looking through our standard and see, maybe it's already in here as one of the ads with our standard.
I don't remember it, no.
It's one of our later conditions, I believe. Street sweeping, stabilization. Oh, our condition 53, concrete trucks and other vehicles shall not be washed out any wetland resource area or within 50 feet of wetland resource area or into any stormwater drainage system. That's part of what I was thinking.
That we do have at 30.
Got that.
Okay.
But I was talking more about like, you know, a vehicle leaving the site,
right,
trailing mud and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking exactly also.
I'll see if we do this for all our permitting for National Grid specifically has to address track out onto public roads.
Okay.
So I can just find a standard language that we use for that and add it to this and let you guys take a look at it and see.
Perfect.
Can I just, I know we have to get to Matt Burns' proposed special conditions document, but I wanted to ask a couple more questions about our standing conditions and whether any of those should be imposed.
Okay.
So I don't know, Ken, are you able to pull up again our standard conditions?
Yep.
Which ones, Teresa?
So I was looking at, well, going to the snow, going back to snow, my question is, should we, I know we talked about snow just now, but should we include 57? What are other things?
It sounds like the O&M plan addresses this and makes this moot.
Okay.
Based on what Matt said before.
Okay. So
yeah, because this 57 specifies that snow storage shall be limited to those areas shown on the final approved plans.
But they're going to be storing it temporarily in non-jurisdictional areas and then trucking it off.
Right.
So
I think we're covered.
So
yeah,
we don't need 57.
Covered.
Okay. And then certificate of compliance, number 62 and 63. And Rebecca, you may already think, are those already covered elsewhere?
Those I think are covered in the general conditions of the order.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a as-built requirement somewhere in there.
In Form 5, Matt?
Yeah, in Form 5.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I ignore that.
Except for C.
Okay.
Except for C. Oh, yeah. Do you want to add that in then?
Did you guys have the before photographs?
We added that. Yeah, we added the before.
Then you might as well have after.
So we just want to add 63C.
Yep.
What good are before photographs without after photographs?
Well, in some cases, you're going to want some during, right? If you're burying a Caltech chamber or something, you're probably going to want pictures of the chambers going in the ground. Because post-construction, you wouldn't even know they're there.
Can that be put into the section dealing with because there aren't there regular reports required under Matt's proposed conditions? Maybe we can add it there.
I think there was.
In terms of pictures during Bob. So Ken, I know I'm asking a lot. Can you go back to the to Matt's conditions?
you could add that to, if you are going to do the,
Hold on a second.
if you were going to get a monitor working on behalf of the commission, what's that reporting? Special condition 4, the applicant shall employ an environmental monitor. His qualifications, authority, site inspections, and reporting. You could add a bullet in reporting.
Right.
To request photographs of the stormwater management structures.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a good place to add pictures. Just what you said, Matt.
Where was it again?
It's in T.
4D.
You know, I'm thinking, could we add just a completely separate condition for that? Keep it out of the environmental monitor scope, and that's more of a, you know, an engineer's purview. You know, they're going to want to be the ones looking at that, taking pictures instead of the environmental monitor, I think.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Do you have a spot that you'd recommend that?
No particular spot. No.
Okay. I'll just make a note to add that somewhere during construction.
Those photos during construction that I was referring to?
Yeah. I was wondering where the mosquitoes are. They're starting to find me.
So do we want to pull up then now? Ken, we're going to ask you to go to yet another document. Do you have the additional special conditions to consider that Matt sent?
I can look
Are we done with this one, Teresa?
I'm sorry, Rebecca, do you have anything else on this one?
Nope.
I have a few comments, if I could, before we move on from this one.
We did get to the end of it though, right? We did get to 50 was the end.
Yep. So there was 2 that I think we could check out. Could we go to 7 real quick? This was a minor one. We just wanted to add in the word reasonably into the one of the sentences. Trying to find where we wanted it. So in the sentence that says the contractor shall provide a construction sequence plan for installation of the stormwater management facilities, erosion and sediment control barriers, and other work within the conservation jurisdictional areas within 21 days prior to the pre-construction meeting for insert the word reasonable review and approval by the commission and the agent, ...
You think we're going to be unreasonable?
No, we trust you guys.
Because you could start adding the word reasonable all over this document.
Okay, all right. So I appreciate that. And then for number 48, could we scroll to 48? So, okay, so yeah, the 1 year following the issuance of the COC requirement for addressing invasive species and landscaping and whatnot. So that seems like it would be putting us into a 4th year of monitoring. And, you know, at first we were talking 2, and then you guys requested 3, and we were fine with 3. So I think just adding that condition in there might be going beyond what we had initially discussed. So
where does the 3-year monitoring, where does that appear?
That's in the renaturalization area plan, as well as the invasive species management plan. So those 2 plans have the 3-year monitoring requirements already set in stone in there.
And that's not what you want? Is that what you're saying?
That is what he wants. He's saying,
yeah, we'd like 3 years, but this condition makes it so we might have to actually do a 4th year, and we'd like to avoid that.
Do you have to wait until the completion of the 3 years to request a certificate of compliance?
That was my understanding, yes. Okay. I'd expect that we could come before you to get a partial certificate of compliance for all other construction work, but we could come back after those 3 years of monitoring to get the full COC.
I see. So the way this is worded would kick you out another year.
Yeah, just say we get a full COC for the 3 years of monitoring and all construction. This 1 year following the issuance of the COC would make the applicant have to hire us to go back out there, you know, after all is said and done.
Yeah, but after 3 years, aren't you supposed to be nothing growing back that we don't want?
Right. Yeah. Yep.
So
if that were instead the beginning of the sentence were at the time of final submission for certificate, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, if we're ready to get the certificate of compliance, we should have, you know, we should ensure that all the invasive species are gone that we propose in the plan in that zone, and that all the plantings are in good shape. I think that's fine.
So like prior to requesting final certificate, applicant will demonstrate something along those lines.
Yep, applicant will demonstrate that the 3 years of monitoring have been completed, and at the completion of those 3 years, the invasive species were eradicated, and the renaturalization area met its 75% coverage.
Can you draft that up and shoot it over?
Yep, I can shoot that over to you for sure.
All right.
And I'm sorry. Mitch, did you have anything else?
Nope, those were our final comments. Unless Matt, did you have any?
No, I'm good.
But Rebecca, I just noticed that I went roughshod over your comment number 14 at the end of 50.
All right, we had talked about that at one point. Right, so we had talked about, I think, what is it, the swales that are located in the renaturalization area, and about allowing those to be maintained and replaced in kind, but not necessarily expanded in the event that they change the use of that property, that they wouldn't be grandfathered to use. I'm trying to remember what we said. I think it was just to expand it, something to that effect. You guys remember talking about that? Take that as a no. No.
I do not remember that, but that's okay. I don't remember.
where are you reading all this? Where are you reading all this?
Look on the side.
The
Look
comment,
on
the
side.
last comment on the draft.
Oh, I can't see it then.
Rebecca, do you want to read your comments?
Sorry, it keeps doing it on me. In the meantime, would someone?
Can you go over a little more?
In the meantime, would someone mind sending Matt Burns's comments to me?
Ken, can you move it over a little bit more? It's like behind the pictures. Right, a little bit more.
You want me to read it, Jimmy?
That's as far as it goes.
Oh,
Maximize your screen.
I did.
No, not you, Ken, Jimmy. Yours is fine.
I maximized it for what I have here.
Can you see it now?
No, I can't see it.
Yeah.
I think he said he can't see it.
No, I can't see it.
All right,
Jimmy, take your mouse over the pictures and drag it.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Looks like my internet connection's getting unstable, so we'll see how the rest of the evening goes.
Yeah, you're in the dark now, Matt, also.
Yeah.
I think this is very good, don't you?
I think it makes sense.
So could I chime in on this? So my concern with this here is, say in the future, some new technology in stormwater management comes about and we need to, work with the existing swales and even make better stormwater management systems. This would limit our ability to do that. And my fear is, take 70 years ago when this development was made, they used paved drainage swales. That's what they thought was best to get rid of the water and send it off to the wetlands. If there was a condition that said, you can't do anything with those swales, we'd be stuck with those swales in the same footprint. And that's, it's not the best for the wetlands. So that's my concern. So, I'd preferably, like to leave this out, and any future changes in our stormwater management are going to have to come to you, since most of our stormwater management features are in some sort of buffer zone or riverfront area.
So that's the equivalent of, you're saying that would be it's the functional equivalent is that it's going to be subject to Concom approval, right?
I'm not certain that's true. Stormwater management built after 96 is exempted at
Isn't it exempt from maintenance?
10.0. Yeah, I mean, maintenance, but that could be tweaked to be changes and larger. I don't know. I'm not certain that's that it would require approval of the commission down the road. That's where I'm not certain, Mitch, that I'm in agreement with you on that.
So, well, this is talking about the swales in the renaturalization area, which those are in the buffer zones.
Yeah, but if they're part of a stormwater management system, then they aren't subject to the Wetlands Protection Act.
Right. That's right. That's right. I mean, the way you're talking, Mitch, is that if new technology came out, it would be smaller, probably not bigger, right?
Well, that's not necessarily the case. Perhaps they find in the future that larger areas are better for stormwater management, and that's the case with the rain gardens.
Right.
Nick Delacava said that we'd be removing more TSS if we had the larger rain gardens. But, per your request, we reduced the size of our stormwater infrastructure and came up with the swales and such, removing, less TSS, but still overall doing a good job to improve the site. So my fear is just, imagine if we couldn't switch the paved swales, and forever and ever, we'd have all that untreated stormwater going in. If we find something better than the swales, 50 years down the road, it'd be better to have that discussion then than to have someone 50 years in the past make that decision for you.
What if we say that any changes in the swale area and the renaturalization shown shall be subject to the approval of the Conservation Commission?
Yeah, that I think works. So what I'm saying, Mitch, is that somebody could come along and change, rework a stormwater management system within a jurisdictional area without getting approval because it's part of it's exempt.
Right.
So having a condition in there that says, these ones in the renaturalization area aren't subject to that exemption.
Right. Are subject to our approval.
Future approval. So
okay, that's reasonable. I think if we go and have discussions with you to go in front of Conservation Commission and get those approvals, I think that's better than the very specific condition saying no, expansion.
No change allowed. Yeah.
So can you make a note about that, Matt Byrne?
Yeah. Yeah. And Mitch, that I invite you to shoot me some language, so phraseology that that makes sense to you. But I would we can work something out together on.
All right. Yeah, I appreciate that, Matt.
And just so you know, that was the very, very end. That was the last comment. I don't know if it's in the right place, in the right.
But no, that's fine. That's good, Ken.
Yeah. Okay.
So Ken, can you go to the additional special conditions now? Okay.
Are these them?
Yes, those are them, Ken. Thank you. So I don't know, Rebecca, I don't know if you looked at any of these.
Let me just, for context, Mitch had sent over on June 16th or thereabouts, prior to my putting together my draft. Mitch had sent over a document with, essentially a proposed list of special conditions. I looked at that. I used my where I was going. And so I took from those proposed special conditions for Mitch what I wanted, and the things that I didn't think I wanted to incorporate in the draft that I presented to the Conservation Commission, I left here on this side document, so that I wasn't throwing them away out of hand. I didn't want to sort of make it so that you didn't see them, but these are the ones that I thought either were redundant or phrased differently in a way that that I covered better.
So these are ones that Mitch proposed that you decided you didn't need to include.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
So by all means, take a look at them. We can walk through them, but these are ones that I thought either we covered well enough or didn't need to cover. So.
Okay.
Matt, rather than us spending a lot of time reading them, can you just comment on which ones are just redundant and which ones you don't think should be here at all?
Well, he just said he thought they were all redundant. He didn't think we needed to include them.
Okay. Well then.
Yeah, and I didn't make notes as I went, so I would have to read them. Yeah.
Nope. Yeah.
But essentially, I didn't think these were ones that I didn't really think added necessary content. Either because
is number 2 on the last page covered?
Number 2.
No, it's not. It's definitely not in the document I prepared for you. If it's something that you would like to see in there, we can certainly include it.
What do others think of that?
Matt, when they tear down these buildings, is there a concern of asbestos pollution or anything, or what do we do about that? Is that a concern?
Matt D'Amico or me?
I'm asking you, Matt.
Yeah. I don't have any idea what the laws are pertaining to demolition and hazardous materials. I'm certain there's a lot of state law covering that. Yeah. So I don't think that's the commission's worry.
What I'm thinking about is that they got off that. I know for a fact they're going to have to go through the building and do an asbestos evaluation to see what asbestos inside. But I was just, when they tear it down, there's going to be dust all over the place, and
I
I
think
on the ground. I don't know if
the
that's
demolition process is going to be highly regulated, I would expect.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't think your order of conditions needs to address that.
Okay, so
And to your point,
I'm going to
Jimmy-
go with Matt's recommendation that these are not really needed. Which is, I think, is what you're saying, Matt Byrne.
Yeah, that was my thinking. These were unnecessary, but I didn't want to dismiss them out of hand, you know, without giving you the opportunity to take a
Rebecca,
look.
do you agree? Okay. That was easy. I'm sorry, anyone else have any comment on these?
No, I agree with that. What else?
Okay, anything else to cover on this?
Nope, I think that's it. I think I've captured, I was able to bring up the Word document that we were working from. So I think I captured everything. Mitch is going to send me a couple of proposed phraseology for a couple of the edits that we talked about. And I know your deadline. You know, like I said, I'll put this on first thing for Monday to get through this and get it out to you through Rebecca and Elaine, and they can distribute it to the rest of the commission, and I'll also copy Mitch and Matt.
I'm sorry, did you say by what day you're gonna do that?
I'll get that done Monday.
Excellent.
And then we can hopefully we're tight at that point, but we can iterate over the course of the week if need be.
And Mitch, if you could just for Monday morning get Matt those reference plans and the other reference and that other condition that we needed to get them.
Yep, I can do that for you.
Thank you, Mitch.
Yeah, great.
So yeah, Matt Byrne, I think you did an outstanding job on these
thank you.
conditions, really comprehensive and really touch on everything that we've talked about and would want.
Great. I'm glad for that and appreciate the comment. And it's been a pleasure to work on the project with you guys.
Thank you. Likewise. Anything else from anybody?
No.
All right. Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll move that.
Is there a second?
Wait a minute. Is there anything about open space that we want to talk about?
Right. I think we're done with this matter, right?
All right. Deviating from the agenda, Jimmy.
What?
Deviating from the agenda.
What?
Deviating from the agenda.
Well, we've
It's
changed.
under other business, other unsaid business.
Right. This is other business that we need to look at.
What is to Matt and Mitch?
Yeah, Mitch and Matt do not have to stay on the mats.
No, they don't have to stay for it.
Unless you want to.
Oh, no, we're good.
Thank you.
All right, have a good night, everybody.
All right,
thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
What is the, Commissioner, what is the purpose of the meeting? Just remind me, we're having a meeting next week. Is that the only other meeting in this month or?
Now, this is a special meeting because the applicant requested that we get, we have a special meeting in order to
Okay,
make
so
sure.
we'll have 3 meetings. So we're gonna have 3 meetings this month then.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay. Okay.
I thought this was just to deal with this stuff, so.
Right. Yes. It was, but I said if we had extra time, we could use it to let's get Judy to talk about open space more.
By this point. What do you want to talk about? Love to talk about
We
open
can't
space.
understand you, Judy.
Yeah, you're kind of breaking up, Judy.
What do you want to talk about in terms of open space?
Well, is everyone?
Like we're gonna have to adjourn until next week.
Yeah, Judy's having audio problems.
Is everyone okay with their assignments as far as, you know, what like I'm going to be doing the trees and Paul's going to be doing stormwater management. And
I didn't think that was open space related, Jimmy.
what's that?
You're
I didn't
all-
believe that was open space plan related.
Well,
That was just in general.
That was general stuff.
well, I don't know what we're going to talk about then. I cancel it. Well, we'll come back to this. I think everyone wants to go home anyways.
So anybody who hasn't given your comments directly to Judy, please do so regarding open space. We may have replied to Jimmy.
Okay. That's it,
Okay.
right?
Anything else? Rebecca? Judy? All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
What time is it?
Actually, just before you go, I sent that version of that Word doc over, and just please let me know if you received it, because as of Sunday, I'm gone with no access to internet or anything for 3 weeks. So when you get it, doesn't have to be now.
No, I did not.
I just
Got
sent it.
anything yet?
Oh, sorry, I sent it to Rebecca and Bob. Just, I'm around tomorrow as well. It's saved. Just when you get it, just please let me know. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
We're checking to see if we got the email from Ken.
You can let me know tomorrow. No reason to hold anything up.
All right. No, I did not get it.
Not yet.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Jimmy, any discussion?
No.
Okay, all in favor? Ken?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Silvana?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
Jimmy?
Yes.
And I also vote to adjourn. Good night, everybody. Talk to you next Thursday.
Good meeting.
See you in a week.
Take care.
Good night.
Bye, guys.
Bye.